Fellas, the detransition wave is among us. I went down the detransition rabbit hole so you don't have to, and I have lots of stuff that I want to talk about in relation to all of the people that are detransitioning. The transition wave hit, I'd say 4 or 5 years ago from what I was seeing. I transitioned in the 90s. I've seen a lot of changes come through in the community, but I've seen nothing like the circus that came with the transition wave, the gender identity wave, the umbrellas, and now the parade is leaving out of the town and they are detransitioning and they want all of this sympathy when the whole circus that came through only made life harder for transgender people because transgender people do not detransition. Welcome back to the channel. This is your coach, your brother, FTM, Liam, Dr. Liam, human movement scientist and trans man of 29 years, here to give you tips on life, wisdom, tips on transitioning that are healthy and also helpful to your journey. All right, let's get into this. We're going to go back. We're going to take it way back to when I transitioned in the 90s, late 90s. So let's say around 1998. If you go to the 1998 census report, there is no gender identity report. The word transgender didn't even really exist. We didn't talk about transgenderism. Transsexual was the word, and the reason why they stopped using it was because there was data to prove that brain activity and endocrinology played a part in hormones and gender identity. These things were talked about before. There's scientific evidence to back that. I'll link stuff in the bio so that you can go and look up for yourself. That word got dropped. Transgender, that was picked up in the late 2000s. Let's fast forward to 2000 to the census report. No data, no gender reporting data, and especially no gender identity words. No asexual, transgender, they, them, none of that. Fast forward to 2020, all of a sudden 0.08% of all adults and about 0.5% of 13 to 17 are reporting transgender. Mind you, transgender to them, defined at that time, was not male to female and female to male, meaning you are transitioning from one gender to the other, which is what the word trans means, by the way. What it meant was an umbrella of gender identity. Here comes the bullshit. 2024, now we got 0.95% of people. All of a sudden, within 4 years, we have a 0.15% jump to almost 1% of the population is now transgender. When we go back to 1998, not even 10 years ago, no one was reporting. And we go back to the 1600s on file, on report, transgender people existing. But I will tell you, the one thing that you wanted to do before the mid 2000s was fly under the radar. Your goal was to transition, blend, and live happily ever after. Euphoria is reached when you transition. These people came in under this umbrella, and most of them were they, them. That's why I said, you can't represent me. You can't speak for me because I know what I transitioned into. Back when I transitioned, you had to live 1 year authentically without hormones. You had to go through therapy for at least a year. You had to get a letter from your therapist, a letter from a doctor. Then you got your hormones. And the minute, but when I tell you the waiting period is the most exciting time of your life, it's amazing. You do not take a crowd of people with you because this is a very hush-hush thing, but it's so exciting. You don't tell everybody because everybody's not going to understand. You've been persecuted enough being either as masculine or as feminine, depending on what you're transitioning into, MTF or FTM. The last thing you want is a crowd. There definitely were no transition camps, and I thank God there was nothing like that. Because I was able to come into who I am. I was able to learn me. I was able to take the parts of me that are just me and love that, and then the outside match the inside, rather than I'm walking around confused as hell with a beard, or I'm walking around confused as hell with a wig on, crying, depressed, dysmorphic. For trans people, dysmorphia goes away the more the outside matches the inside, till you get to a point where that's just not a thing. We go to the bathroom to use the bathroom, and we master the art of going to the bathroom. You have specific bathrooms that you go to until you transition properly because you don't want to run into other people. Because that's a very intimate space where you're using the bathroom. The weirdos that you guys saw online, they were weirdos. Trans people do not go and get butt naked anywhere. That is never going to happen. But with the wave of these new people that are now detransitioning, when they came in, everybody just all of a sudden thought, well, that's what they are. Meanwhile, we are out here existing around you, listening to you talk about this shit. We're out here going to the bathroom, going to work, raising our families, going to school, watching you watch the circus, thinking, we'll be glad when this is over. I'm just trying to live. Meanwhile, these people who now have a crowd of sympathy, the sympathy people around them psychopath sympathy people that are around them now, had a crowd of yay around them before. And we sat back like, you cannot represent me. You are not representing me. Instead of blaming trans people, because when I went down the rabbit hole, it was, well, the trans community should have told these people what it was going to be like. No, we shouldn't have told them nothing, because we went through our journey learning who we are. These people made the mistake of listening to other people and then tried to cosplay some shit you can't carry. And now look, hormones are no joke. Your endocrine system determines everything. And if you don't learn, which is the point of all those appointments I was telling you about before, then yes, you're going to end up a mess. Besides the fact that you have to know, to know, to know, to know. And before you transition, that is something you fight with yourself back and forth for so long. Because this is life. Forever. Forever. Shout out to the Sandlot. This is real life. There are those of us that our family kind of knew something wasn't right. Shit, since I was 5, people was looking at me like, something ain't right. Well, maybe she's just a tomboy. Nope. Well, maybe she's okay, she lived and she died cool. Then it was like, this motherfucker ain't even fitting in with the lesbians. That's why I don't catch flack from my family. I don't catch flack from my people because I've always been me. This and these came later. Not too far after, but they came later. I've always been this way. I didn't need to attach anything. There's no Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'm a boy. Monday I put on a dress because I feel like a nut. Fuck that. I'm a man. Shit, I wanted to have a burn the dresses. I wanted when I was younger. Shit, I would eat up a pair of Easter shoes. Boy, what? Got in trouble playing basketball every Easter. I was juking, shucking, and jiving. Shit, I was on the ground with a rifle in the country. Till they got to a point where they were like, you know what? Just let that motherfucker put on some tore off jeans and some cowboy boots and go on. We can't even fight you no more. Who you people should blame? The doctors that make all the money from these surgeries. The insurance companies that make money from the HRT dosages. This is big business. You better look it up. $25,000 is the least cost for a top surgery. And I'm talking about if you go to a very good hospital and you go through all of the stays and all that out of pocket, for most of you, it's going to cost a pretty penny even with your insurance. But the insurance is making the bulk of it. Blame the parents of these people that pushed them into doing this, because we did not have parents that are ding, 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 ding walking behind you. No. You have adults that are on HRT and men that are now on TRT. They can't control their emotions. What the fuck does a kid know what to do with hormones? Nothing. So no, don't blame us for that either, because we didn't recruit one child, not one. We don't do that. Blame not living authentically. If you don't know who you are, that's your fault. Absolutely. And especially these grown people that are detransitioning. You 45 and I'm detransitioning. Well, what? You don't have an inkling of who you are at 45. I'm 48. That's Gen X age. You don't know who you are. You better get to digging. Because there's plenty of life left. Trans joy is this right here. All that other stuff is out the window. Your secrets are out. What you gonna tell me? I already done told you my shit. Now it's time for me to help and teach the youngers. I'm gonna tell you who else you need to blame. Blame that non-profit sector that made this so attractive to come get a check to be trans. Now that's some bogus stuff right there. Because those were trans people. And for $1, pulled in other people that you know aren't authentic and having them represent everyone. Now that the detransitions have happened, we're sitting back here, the trans people that are here in life. Now our lives have shaken up a bit because people are looking for certain things to identify you with. And they still wrong. And even if you do identify somebody, what then? Ooh, you trans. Okay. And it's Monday. Get out my way so I can pay for my stuff. Bruh. You see how it works? You're not ashamed when you're okay with who you are, when you've been through the process. You detransition when you don't know. And I've worked with a lot of FTM men that have detransitioned, and I knew they weren't trans in the beginning. And they went through the same cycle of the FTM to they and them, and then to finally, maybe this isn't for me. This is not something that we do that with. When you are trans, that's hard stop, baby. And not only hard stop, but hard stop like, yes, I'm about to be me. Yeah. So that's why you guys that look at me, you tell me I'm hope for you. Yes, life gets better. Learn you. Work on the inside. Work on the strength that is in you. Get out of your comfort zones. That's going to be the next video. Some of you that still hang out with your lesbian crews and your gay crews, nothing wrong with that, but that can't be your only life source because you're not being validated. Go where you're validated. Go where you're understood. Go where you can have those conversations that some of you break down and have with me when we finally meet. And you're like, damn, man, I couldn't talk to nobody about this. That's my piece on it for right now. Feel whatever way you feel. You can call me insensitive. I don't care. I sat back and watched. I watched these creators post stuff for $1. And now they ain't talking about shit. They all were mockingbirds, reporting the same thing. Didn't see one person get interviewed that was like me because we have a mind of our own. Because you can't make me cry and manipulate me from the words that the $1 million words that have been thrown at you from the internet or memes and stuff. Or, you a girl. Okay. Tell my balls that. All right, y'all. Much love to you. Like, subscribe, share. I'm trying to hit y'all with at least one every other day or 3 times a week. Much love to you. I'll see you soon.